Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and using several of the elements from the Simon Says Stamp February card kit that I did an unboxing of just the other day. So I took the SLATE cardstock from the kit and cut it down into smaller pieces, and I'm just coating the back of them with adhesive. You could use like the Stick It sheets. I'm just using one of my little disposables iron sticker maker. The little Creative Station with the 3-inch refill would have been perfect for this, but I just wanted to save myself the effort of using any sort of liquid adhesive because I'm planning on using this Stacked Hearts wafer die that Simon released, I think it was like 2 years ago, something like that. So I wanted to use that. I've had it sitting out because I think I've only got a chance to use it a couple times, and I just love this die. So that plus I showed in my last haul video that I got my hands on the Gemini machines. So I have my little Gemini Junior. I cleared up some space and plugged it in. This is literally my very first time using it. I actually looked at the instruction manual, so I've got my sandwich stack all the way they recommended it, and then I ran it through my machine with the die and the cardstock with the adhesive on the back. It cut through like a dream. So I die cut 3 layers of this. So I just ran it through 3 times. For those that are completely unfamiliar with this machine, it is an electric machine. You literally just start pushing the plates through and then it grabs them, rolls them through for you. So you don't have to crank it or anything like that. And the biggest thing everyone's been telling me is just how amazing this machine is at cutting intricate dies. So far, like I said, I'm just using the standard sandwich stack that they recommend, and it die cut these no problem. So I left the first one just in the backing paper just as my kind of base layer so that I could peel off the second one. So I peeled off the adhesive backing and then I can stick it to this. And most adhesives like this, like the Stick It paper, the Xyron, etc., you have some wiggle room. You can kind of move things around and pull it up and whatnot. It's not until you really put on some pressure and press down that things are super adhered. So I love it for die cuts like this that are a little bit finicky. You got to line things up, etc. So I did that with the first one, and then I'm adding my final layer. So it's going to be 3 layers of cardstock just to give it that bit of dimension. So after I had done that, I actually took one of the pattern papers that comes with the kit. This is from the Echo Park I'd Rather Be Crafting pattern paper. And I really loved this one with like the scissors and the rulers and the brushes. I just think it's adorable. So I ended up die cutting that pattern paper with the second largest of the Simon Says just basic rectangle dies. You could cut it with a trimmer. I like the look the die cut edge gives everything. So these are one of my most used die set is these rectangle dies. So I die cut that, and then I went against my OCD. I always want to line things up straight, but I was like, I can do it. I can put these on an angle, and I did. So I adhered the die cut Stacked Hearts on just a little bit of an angle, pressed it down really well so it's good and adhered. And then the sentiment is from the CRAFTY Friends stamp set that comes in the kit. It is also available separately. I'll have links to everything in the description box below the video as well as on my blog. So I have a piece of AUDREY blue cardstock here, and I used my anti-static powder tool, and then I inked up the stamp with Simon's clear embossing ink, stamped it. I'm going to coat it with my Hero Arts white embossing powder. Then I'm going to melt that with my heat tool, letting my heat tool heat up. I'm always bad about letting it, like taking those extra, 30 seconds to a minute to really let it heat up, but it does make a difference when you do that. I'm too impatient. I need to make more of a point of that. You'll find you get better results with your heat embossing, and your cardstock and whatnot won't warp as much. So after I did that, I trimmed it with my paper trimmer, and then it's just habit to grab my little cutter bee scissors, but I could have used the scissors that came in the kit. I think they're so cool. I showed them in the unboxing video. I'll have a link to that at the end of this one, but I'm actually thinking I'm going to put the scissors that came in the kit because they go compact into that little like tube. I'm actually thinking I might put those in my purse because they're just so neat. So anyway, any scissors will work. I just cut a little flag end on the one end of that sentiment, and then I adhered it with a little bit of foam tape just to pop it up so it adhered flat to those Stacked Hearts. And then I used another pattern paper from that same pack. There's the reverse side of it had this kind of yellowish color, and I really like that. So my pattern paper background was 3 3/4 by 5 5 inches. So I cut that piece down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm going to adhere those together. So I just have that nice little bit of a border around the edges of this. And then I'm going to go on and decided to add some of the inserts to the little hearts. So I had just taken a scrap of the AUDREY blue and a scrap of that kind of yellow pattern paper and added adhesive to the back of those and ran those through with that stack heart dies just so I would get a bunch of those little inner heart pieces. And I only filled a few of the random ones. I didn't fill every single one because I like, you know, the pattern paper peeking through. But just to kind of pull in those colors as well as use up some of those steel gray ones, I just peeled off the backing and stuck them in randomly just to kind of give everything a little extra something. And then for the inside of the card, I'm using another sentiment from the Crafty Friends stamp set. And I'm stamping that with Simon's SLATE ink. And then I'm going to flip this over, and on the back of it, I'm going to stamp the little sentiment that comes in the set too that says handmade by someone super crafty named. I think that's adorable. So I used that, and then I used some more of the images from the set along with the mint envelope that comes in the kit. And I just stamped those kind of randomly up the left side of this mint envelope with that same SLATE ink. Just kind of creating a fun little pattern with all those images. So use the scissors and the brush and the pen and marker images, and then just kind of filled it in a little bit with one of the little solid heart images from the set. And after I had those stamped, I'm going to flip the envelope over and open up the flap, and then I'm going to stamp the flap with this large circular envelope image that I just love. So I'm going to stamp that on the envelope. Everything looks the tiniest bit blotchy right now, but Simon's ink, as it dries, it smooths out. So nice. So I'm going to set that aside so I can finish off this card. So I have that little bit of the top of the pattern paper there left over. So I'm just using my trimmer to trim that down. So I got a nice clean edge, and then I'm going to just trim off the end of this, and I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card right below the sentiment just to kind of tie everything together, plus to get, you know, max use out of this pattern paper. So adhere that into place, and that little tiny bit hanging off, I'm just going to trim that off with those scissors. And then I'm using the Simon Big Mama foam tape roll that I showed in a haul video whenever it was. I had tons of people leaving like feedback on it. I've used this in many videos. I personally like it. It is a bit of a pain in that it does not tear very well. You do need to cut it, and the backing paper you gotta fiddle with. And every time I go to use this is right after I trim my nails, so I have a hard time like peeling off the backing paper. If I haven't trimmed my nails, I can peel it off no problem. But I find I personally don't mind those little drawbacks because I love the fact that it's thinner than all the other foam tapes I have. So I get that little bit of dimension without it being too thick and bulky. So for me, it's worth it, and I really actually like this foam tape. I'm okay with the little bit of finickiness of having to cut it and having to peel off the backing, just because it just gives me what I really like when I only want a little bit of dimension and not really thick, bulky cards. So I did that with the foam tape, adhered that to my card base, and then I wasn't going to add the crystals that come in the kit, but they're so pretty, and I kind of wanted to bring in that pink that's on like the pattern paper. So these are the CUPID'S Kiss crystals by Studio Katia, and these come in the kit, or you can get them separately. And I'm trying out this is the new Simon Tacky Craft Glue. Again, comes in the kit, can get separately. Lots of people ask me about this. I love trying out new adhesives. FYI, mine did freeze completely solid. It was like 40 below, like so cold. So mine froze solid, so I think it did affect the texture a bit, but at the same time, it still works. And I like that it's a little bit thicker. I think no matter what, it's supposed to be thicker. So far, I like it. We'll see down the road. But that is my card for today. Like I said, I will have links below the video to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. You can check that out if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye!